are you all? If you are new around here, then hello, nice to meet you. And if you are returning, thank you very fucking much for coming back. That's your word of warning that I do like to swear in this channel. I do get quite vocal and guttural and say fuck, shite and bugger quite a lot. I am Alana and I'm a 30-something Scottish lady who loves to talk about skincare, makeup, lifestyle, blogging, travelling, all that shit, all that basic bitch shit. But I do have a sprinkling of sarcasm thrown in there as well, and if you're not into that kind of thing, I completely understand. Please feel free to vacate just now, or if you've got wee ones running about and you don't want to hear the sweary words, headphones in. There is a little subscription button down here if you wish. If you don't want to, that's alright. No bother, no harm. This video is going to be a get ready with me, but not really focusing on the makeup. I know you'll be like, what? But what I'm saying is I'm just going to have a really chit chat video about social media, about some things that have been on my mind, about audiences that I think are being forgotten about, and marketing in general and how they are telling us what we think beauty should be, about aesthetics, and why they aren't showing more normal people. Normal being like not a size 8 model, or maybe a size 20 but a perfect hourglass shape size 20 model, and someone who's very, very beautiful, obviously. That's what I'm going to be chatting about today, because it's been a hot topic of conversation between me and some friends, and I just needed to get it off my chest. So if that sounds like your kind of thing, grab yourself a cup of tea, a coffee, cocktail if you like. Today I've just got a glass of water, but I'm going to go make myself a coffee now that I've, you know, this is filmed after I've put the makeup on. So now that I've done this, I'm going to go and get the coffee. Do whatever you want. Alright, so today I've got a few new bits and bobs to play with, but not everything is new, obviously. I'm not a millionaire. But I'm going to be using these Lara Faye brushes. I did speak about these in the What's New February. This is the first time I'm playing with them though. This, and there's a few new palettes for you. We'll just talk as we go. This video is not going to be like a, normally I do a get ready with me and it's kind of like first impressions of a brand, blah blah blah. I'm going to be using the Kaleidos Sashimi City palette, and I love Kaleidos, think they're brilliant, and I'm pretty much certain that I know the palette is going to be fantastic. I'm just going to have a blather about some things that have been on my mind recently, some things that I'm like, maybe annoying me a wee bit, have a little bit of a moan, and just talk to you about that while I do the makeup. I'll talk as much as I can, but the emphasis is not going to be on the makeup. I'm not going to zoom you right in and show you. We're just having a fucking chit chat today. Today I am going out to meet my friend for a walk. Exciting stuff. And we're just kind of going for a walk. I don't want to be too heavy. I'm just going to meet her for a coffee, walk down the park. And I'm aware I'm an idiot that I've put this on, but I was worried that once I pulled it over my head, I'd get it all on the collar. We do have nice bright sunlight again today. If it's going in and out a wee bit, my apologies. But honest to God, it was so funny. I filmed a video the other day and I was like, oh, bright sunshine, yeah, it feels like springtime. And then the next day was the dullest, greyest, wettest, horriblest day, and I was like, yep, Scotland, you've fucking done me proud there, haven't you? Anyways, oh, we've got Molly in the background today. I don't know if you can see her there. I'm now aware I'm wearing a white top. This was a silly idea. So yeah, a lot of things have been on my mind recently, mainly to do with kind of social media, stuff like that. But in particular, a subject that I've spoke about a couple of times before, and just kind of brought it up in conversation. But recently on Instagram, I've found there's a lot of people kind of promoting the save, don't like, and, you know, make sure that people are actually like follow us. It doesn't take any money to oh, sorry, it's the sun's just came in crazy there. I'm really sorry. It doesn't take much to just like something, save as the new like, blah blah blah, but fucking blah. So I think to start with, I'm gonna go in with this one. This is the E03 from Lara Faye, and it's like a nice soft kind of blending brush, because I'm just gonna do a bit of washing of colour across the eyes. I haven't primed my lids or anything, because on a day-to-day I don't generally do that, if I'm honest with you. So yeah, I just seen a lot of people kind of sharing stuff like that, and I think if you're a business on Instagram, if you are somebody who is on there to build a bit of, I don't want to say an empire, but build a bit of traction and make money, and you have a product to sell, then I can completely understand why you might want people to do these things because you want your product out there. You need more followers, you need followers to share it, to actually share the product. And oh, I'm so sorry, but yeah, just like to get the stuff out there, to get it seen and sell the product. Like, I understand that completely. I am not naive to what marketing is, not in the slightest. What I would say though is that for Joe Blogs, the average person who's using Instagram, putting up a little picture of their family, putting up a little picture of their holiday snaps, maybe their lunch, their breakfast, whatever they're enjoying. I just think at the moment, it's a lot of, you need to make your squares look a certain way, you need to have a certain aesthetic. The other day I found out that saying the word aesthetic isn't even really what it's used for anymore. And in that sense, I think it was Michaela McDade I seen talking about it, and she was saying like the kids now are saying like, that's so aesthetic. And I was like, in the context of that sentence, it might not make sense, because aesthetic is obviously if it's aesthetically pleasing. It doesn't really, grammatically, it doesn't really make too much sense to me. So I found that very interesting that youngsters are now actually saying like, that's so aesthetic. And I was like, oh, okay, that's probably not the way I would use it, but interesting, very interesting to know. Now that is Gourmet, this one here, and this E03 is so soft and it's just gave a nice wash of colour. It's going to look a lot paler than it actually is in real life. I mean, it's a nice wash of colour, but as I said, the sun, it's just the sun. But my fear is, not just for Instagram, like literally I don't care what happens to Instagram, it's fine. But my fear is that people now feel like they need to look a certain way, or they need to have their feed look in a certain way. People have a themed feed. This isn't a new thing. This is something that's been going on for a while. And again, if you're a business, I'm kind of like, okay, I get it. Like, you've got a product to sell. Even if you're a business and it's like you're an online digital marketing business or business or something like that, then I still understand that you have an aesthetic and a demographic that you're trying to reach. I get that. But as a person, see when I look at feeds and it's all just kind of minimal, not minimal flat lays, because I know people like them, that's fine. But it's just that, just minimal flat lays, or like little corners of your house, because sometimes I'll stick up a nice photo of like a nice candle. Like, see my little lady candle back here? Stick up a nice photo, aesthetically pleasing photo in my mind of that candle, because I like that candle. And in my home situation, I really quite like probably what you would call minimalist, a bit basic bitch, a little bit hipster, a little bit like that. And if I'm looking for home inspiration and I follow somebody on Instagram for that, and that is what their page is about, okay. If your page is just your page and you as a human, but you only post these aesthetic images and we never see your face, I find it difficult to connect with those pages. That's maybe just me. But I do find it a little bit difficult, especially when it's maybe someone who's talking about skincare or makeup or anything like that, and they talk about these things and they've got really beautiful product placement photos, but I never really get any interaction with them, because I feel a little bit like, well, I don't know you as a person. I don't know if that's just me. I think some of these feeds do a lot better than others, and I think that's probably down to the fact that in the great, what's the word I'm looking for, marketing mind, we are being brainwashed to think this is what is pretty, or this is what is nice, and this is what is aesthetically pleasing. But if you have a feed that is full of holiday snaps, one of you and your mum, Christmas, one of like your lunch you had last week, and then a picture of a nice candle, that's okay. That's fucking fine, mate. And I don't fucking always want the same stuff, and I don't always have a very strict style. I have what I like to think is my style, but it's not always just the one thing. As I've mentioned before, I love rock and roll music, I love rock music, I like metal music. I used to go to a rock club when I was younger. I was a bit of a goth, probably like dipped my toe into a bit of like cyber goth even, and a little bit of emo, like just the alternative scene in general. Then when I went to do fashion, like I became a lot more like focused on, probably wrongfully so, like what do people expect me to look like in the fashion industry, which was a struggle at a young age. But I thought I had to be a different way. And what I've learned from myself over the years is that I don't have to be any one way. I can be all of those styles, all of those themes, all of those things, because I like all of them, and that's all that really matters. I'm just going to go underneath now with a little bit of the same colour before I deepen them up. Again, I'm not going crazy today because I'm just going out for a wee walk with my friend, so I am going to put a shimmer on. I'm not going to lie, like, you're gonna, this is Shimi City palette, that is it not Salmon Skyline, Pink Ginger. Don't feel you have to put yourself in a box. It's a bit like the old saying of, I don't know if it's an old saying, but you know how like, is it a square peg doesn't fit a round hole? Don't try and make yourself something you're not because you think that's going to get you more follows, more likes, more views. Because here's the thing, if you do that, then yeah, you might get more follows, more likes, more views, but you're going to have views, follows and likes from people who have nothing in common with you. If that's really not who you are, if you're not putting yourself out there as who you are, you're going to have fuck all in common with them. That's the absolute truth. I'm going to just deepen up slightly now with, don't know whether to go in with soy sauce or Promenade. We'll try Promenade first. Maria was like, could you do a cool look in the future? And I was like, I could try. But I don't really own that many. The only cool palette I think I own is the Naked 2 palette. I haven't used it for a long time, but I could pull it out. We'll give it a go. I've never really worn grey eyeshadow in my life, I don't think. Yeah, so if you're putting across this perception of like something you are not, then it's not gonna last. And people will see through it. They see through non-authentic. I think it stands out a mile, if I'm honest with you. Sorry, the sun has now just completely disappeared, fucker. Yeah, so I think like just be yourself. The other thing that was on my mind recently, and I was speaking to the lovely Kat from Kat the Makeup Mum. She doesn't have YouTube, she has a really lovely Instagram page and she does beautiful makeup. And if you have Instagram, please go and follow her. There's a little photo over here. And I will link her Instagram down below, so please go and check her out. She was saying the other day, like she notices, like she does a lot of kind of indie brands, I suppose. If you like Danessa Myricks, who's an indie brand, but she works with a lot of Danessa Myricks stuff, but she also likes to pick up some real luxury beauty. She also likes to pick up some drugstore stuff. She picks up a lot of different things and works with a lot of different stuff because we're just like little magpies to makeup, and that's just the way we are, and we like lots of different things and we're allowed to change our mind quite a lot. Yeah, so she's in her 30s and she feels like she's not the cookie cutter image of what we've been told beauty is and what we're to perceive as beauty and what beauty standards are. I think a lot of women feel that way just now, a lot of women. And I've touched on the subject before about a certain age group of women being completely forgotten about, and I still stand by that. I think a lot of brands now look at young influencers, young, beautiful, kind of the stereotypical influencer looking people, and want to work with them. And whether you've got 2,000 followers, 200 followers or 20 million followers, they will still kind of pick those types of looking people, and I have to agree with her completely. Now I'm going to go in with this. This is the E10 from Lara Faye, but this is a concealer brush, but as I've mentioned, this, sorry, you wouldn't even have saw it. It was over on Instagram on my unboxing. Little brushes like this, little stiff brushes, I would probably use to put a shimmer on. So, I'm gonna go in with one of these, but which one is the question? That one there, that is Penthouse, and that one there, that is Pink Ginger. So I think one's more like a green undertone, they're both kind of duochrome, multichromes, and the other one on the top, the Pink Ginger, is definitely more of a pink one. I think I'm gonna go with the pinky sparkle. And I am talking about this in any relation to whether you feel you've been forgotten about because of the colour of your skin, whether you feel you've been forgotten about because of your sexuality and not picked up on before, whether you've been forgotten about because you feel you are not the right size or weight for people. And I'm sure we have all at one point or another felt like we don't fit in somewhere. And I feel like at the moment, for anybody who is kind of, I don't want to say, it's difficult. I was going to say 26 plus, but I'm sure there's lots of 25-year-olds that feel this way too. And I am not saying that you you're fine. Like, you don't get to feel like that. That's not what I'm saying at all. If you're 25 or 26 and you feel you've been kind of forgot about because of any of the reasons I've just mentioned, you are very justified in doing that. That's not what I'm getting at. What I'm getting at is that I feel like if I see representation from, let's just say, men wearing makeup or gay men wearing makeup, it's usually of a younger age range. I don't see many men who are older and being put out there by brands. It's all got to be these really gorgeous looking ideas of what marketing thinks beauty is. So I can see trans people, but they still have that cookie cutter idea of what beauty is. Regardless, it's not just normal people. I don't see that from brands. Regardless of them trying to be very much like we are very inclusive, they also don't include normal people. Just normal Joe Blogs like you or I. It's only a certain look. And then that makes me feel like a bit of a hypocrite for saying, well, I get that because you're a business and you're trying to sell things. Because essentially nowadays that's what the influencer market is, isn't it? It's to sell things. And they probably look at people and think, no, they're not our aesthetic. Now, who am I? Who am I to judge that? I'm sure there's people I look at and I think they're not necessarily my aesthetic. Yeah, I don't look at people and think, oh, that's not my aesthetic and I don't want to see that from this brand. I would actually personally prefer to see from brands, like, so let's just take Charlotte for instance. She has a certain look. She has a certain, this is fucking doing my nut in with the light. She has a certain look. She has a certain girl, a certain style that she goes for, even though she's been more inclusive recently, using girls with darker skin tones and expanding her shade range and all these kind of wonderful things. She still has a look. She has a Charlotte look. I spoke about it when I reviewed these palettes, that, you know, you're going for that Charlotte Starlet look. Fine, and I get it. But wouldn't it be lovely to see someone who's just normal and, or normal, whatever the fuck normal is, a normal person who potentially loves Charlotte Tilbury and uses this palette every single day, and maybe they're a teacher or maybe they're a nurse, whatever. I don't wear makeup to work, but there's plenty of nurses that do. Maybe they're a teacher, they're a nurse, maybe they're someone who works in an office. They have whatever job in the world and that's their job. Maybe they're a stay-at-home mum, and potentially see what they do with this palette and see what their views on it is and how they use it. They might turn around and say, do you know what, I can't use it the way Charlotte does it because my eye shape is a completely different look. Or it's nice to see it on girls who are, you know, 19 or 20 or in their early 20s, these really model-esque girls wearing this stuff, but that would not work for me. So here I am as a 45-year-old, 65-year-old, 85-year-old woman who loves a bit of Charlotte Tilbury, and this is how I use it. I would love to see that. I think Kelly had mentioned recently as well, like I really love a grunge look. We know this, right? So wouldn't it be nice to see Charlotte Tilbury used in that way rather than that Charlotte Starlet look? I think that is a very good point, and I actually think I might try that because I thought, you know what, Kelly, that makes a lot of sense. We don't need to just use these things because that's what they've deemed we have to do, and there'll be loads of people out there who don't use them in that manner, and we need to be looking at these people. These brands, I feel sorry, like, I'm not knocking Charlotte, this is a lovely palette, but these brands are huge powerhouses and they are not necessarily listening to their audience. They are listening to trends and marketing, and I'm sure they've got these, what do you call them? The support groups or whatever it is. What do you call them? Like think labs. That basically will be saying to them, this is the latest trend. This is the thing we have to be addressing. Like, for instance, skin colour and race, and making sure that there's inclusivity with sexualities and stuff like that. And that's what they're being told, and I agree. But they're not doing it right. They're not including everybody who is in that. Recently I've seen Burberry as well basically have brought out a cushion foundation. Now I'm going to pop the little picture here that I've seen, and the shade range is atrocious, absolutely atrocious, but it's not for me to say that. It's for me to voice that's what I think, but it's not for me to be like, that's terrible, because I am not somebody who is a person of colour. Any of these shade ranges, they might not work in me, they might be a little bit yellow, and I've said before, I struggle getting a good match with foundation sometimes because I've got this pink undertone, but it's not for me to complain because there's plenty of options for me to try. Whereas with a lot of women, especially women of colour, there is not those options. None of, or men of colour, those options just aren't there. And that is unacceptable. They have said that cushion foundations, yeah, are something that tried to launch here a wee while ago and didn't do well. Here and the US, the kind of Western market didn't like a cushion foundation. So Burberry have said it's because their market for cushion foundations is mainly the Asian market. And therefore, that is why it is this shade range, because the Asian population haven't got that wide a demographic for the colours of foundation for cushion foundations, right? And again, logically, I'm like, okay, business-wise, I can see where you're coming from. Okay, fine. But what if you are that one person who is a black woman who loves Korean or K-beauty or Asian beauty trends, and you want to try a cushion foundation? You're not allowed to try Burberry's cushion foundation. You're not allowed cushion foundations because we don't have a market for that. How did they think that was acceptable? That's what I would say. What if you're someone who wants to emulate K-beauty and you're genuine interest in it, and there is zero way of doing it because Burberry said, you know, no, I'm sorry, there's not a market for that. How did they not see what happened with Hourglass recently? How did they think that was appropriate? These are so soft. I can't get over how soft these brushes are. It's unbelievably soft. Just to bring a bit of shade and colour back to my face. And that was just the kind of one swirl I've done there. I'm not going in with any more because I think I will start to look a bit crazy. It's a very soft but dense as well. It's just, I don't know how to explain it. It's like soft and dense at the same time. There's a lot of give to the brush, so it blends things beautifully. It's going really nicely there. Oh look, now I'm like a fucking ghost again. Thanks, Mr. Sunshine. You know, I moan all this time to get sunlight, and then I'm like, now it's here. You're fucking up my system, guy. Now I'm gonna just drape around about here as well, because that just helps me tie my face in together a little bit. Oh, that's really nice. I really like that. Also, another really beautiful brush. These brushes are amazing. See, for the price of these brushes, I can't believe the price of these brushes. I actually spoke to the woman from Lara Faye, and she was saying, I think I posted something on Instagram, and she was like, you know, give you a little, what you call that, your reaction to your story. And she was like, her demographic, what she tries to do is kind of 30 to 55, that's her demographic age range, and that's why she includes anybody who kind of posts about Lara Faye, anybody that talks about them, anybody who uses them, she will include them in her stories. And Algorithm are the same. I've spoke about them before. It's all about, like, we're gonna buck the ideas of what beauty is, because it's not just one thing that we're taught to be ideals of what beauty is. It's much more than that. So they always repost anybody, no matter who you are. If you've said, I've bought something from them, I really enjoy this brand, they will share it. And this isn't about like, oh, I'm not getting shared by the brands I like. Like, I literally couldn't give a flying flip, if I'm honest with you. If somebody shares me, I'm like, oh, thanks very much. Like, especially if it's another person, I'm always very appreciative. But if a big brand doesn't share something, I'm just like, okay, fine, it's alright, no bother. Sorry, so I'm going to use the Lash Idol from Lancome. Now, strangest thing happened today. Came in this little, I'm not going to turn around because my dress is on that side, but came in this little envelope today, and you know that way I had that haunting feeling. I thought, I've not ordered anything. What is this? What the fuck? Panicked because I thought, have I ordered something now that I wasn't expecting? So this is a little mini version of the Lash Idol sent from Lancome. Not gifted, it was like a wee thing you could sign up and register for this mascara. I know this isn't new. I've seen a lot of people talking about this and buying it in the full size, and I thought, well, I want to try a mini before I commit to buying a mascara that I've never used before. So this is the first time of me trying it. But yeah, this isn't about like, boo-hoo, I'm annoyed a brand didn't share me on Instagram. That's not what I'm getting at, not at all. I'm just saying, why not include everybody? Why has it got to be a certain look, a certain style, a certain thing, and then, oh no, I fucked it. Absolutely fucked it. See, because this is like that funny shape. See, if you make a big boo-boo like that, let it dry. Let it dry, just accept you've done it and let it dry. I'm going to finish actually putting the mascara on the lashes now, and then I'll come back to that monstrosity behaviour. So I definitely think a lot of brands are still having these issues where they want to appear inclusive. Sorry, this is just a Dew Wet Balm across the top of my cheeks. They want to appear inclusive and they want to say like, oh well, we've got black models in our posts now, or we've got, yeah, they might have somebody who's like a size 18 to 20, which is great, it's really good, but also it's someone who's a size 18 to 20 who still has quite a flat stomach and still looks quite like that hourglass shape. They're not necessarily like a small bust and big bum or really skinny legs and really heavy bust. Like, they're not the shapes that we all look at and think, well, that's what I look like in the mirror. Now, I'm happy with my figure. I could be a little fitter. I've spoke about this before as well. For me, it's about health. It's not about my size, but I'm happy with my size, and I can't sit here and say that I've had complaints. Of course, somebody's called me fat in my life. Of course they have. But it's not something I deal with daily. I don't have to think about where am I going to shop from because that shop's not going to cater to me. I don't deal with that. But I think that that is something that we need to think about. The fact that, okay, you can put a plus size model on top of something, but see if she's still like absolutely gorgeous, like just model-esque and a nice hourglass figure, and it's those norms that I think need to change a wee bit. And when I was talking to Kat about it, also seeing a lot of people posting about how my reach is shit and my engagement is shit and I hate Instagram, I hate being here. Do you know what? Like, again, I understand if you're a business or if it's your full-time job, but it's a little bit insulting to do that to your followers, your viewers. Because, for instance, I seen a girl the other day and she's saying like, oh, it took me like 4 hours to film this and I've been engaging with all my followers and blah 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 and it's not even doing this. And I was like, you're making it sound like engaging with your followers is a chore. You're making it sound like it's too much hassle for not enough, like too much effort for not enough show up. What is that what I'm trying to say? What's the fucking phrase I'm trying to say? I don't know. You're putting all this effort in and not seeing anything out of it, basically. And I thought, that's fucking terrible, because maybe that one person you've spoke to about some post that you've put up and you've responded to them. Sorry, I'm just dampening down that blush a wee bit. I feel it does look a little crazy. In real life it doesn't, it just looks like a really nice pinky orangey flesh cheek, but it does look a little heavy. It's ever so slightly. Yeah, I thought you maybe have spoke to one person, maybe somebody has responded to your story and you've responded back and that's really made that person's day. And you're saying like, oh, my engagement is, I've been engaging on Instagram and I'm not even getting anything. What you're getting back is people's time. People's time who want to fucking speak to you and say, I love what you've done, or, you know what, I never thought of that before. You're getting interaction. Like, don't fucking make that out as if that's a pure, oh, I'm not getting hundreds of followers and I'm not getting hundreds of likes. Like, fuck off. I can't be arsed with that shit. And I'm not perfect. I'm not perfect. I'd love to have more followers. I'd love to have a bigger viewing. Who wouldn't? We'd all be fucking liars if we said we didn't. But equally, genuinely the reason why I like doing this is because of the interaction. Like, it just blew my mind. It was so entitled, it blew my mind. So anyway, sorry, what I've done is put some micellar water on a cotton bud and I'm just gonna wipe that away now because I'm a divvy. But just roll it, a completely clean cotton bud that I'm just gonna dust away some of the excess there. There we go, that's a wee bit better now. See? So you can resolve these situations. Don't panic and don't wipe it when it's wet. That's my first thing. Let it dry and then you can wipe it off. So anyway, what are your thoughts and feelings on those topics that I've spoke about? Do you think the same? I mean, nobody's perfect. Nobody can be perfect. Everybody's going to have their flaws. I've got my flaws, of course I do. But I particularly feel like there is an age range that, sorry, this is my Gloss My Heart in number 14. It's my favourite. I always talk about it. And I think there's an age range that has been completely and utterly forgotten about. And I think that at the moment, big brands and marketing are really catering to either young people or very, very old people, I suppose, in the beauty industry. Like areas where you're needing, or not needing, that's the wrong word to use, anti-aging. Like really anti-aging or really youthful stuff. And they are not going anywhere in between. And I think that the representation of more kind of LGBTQ stuff is being put across a lot more like drag style. Again, I've said before, I don't have an issue with that. I think drag makeup sometimes is phenomenal. But not all gay people do that. And some gay people wear just minimal makeup and they do it so that it's kind of subtle, like just to enhance the features you've already got. I know I've got a friend and he wears a little bit of makeup, but he does it more of a kind of the way I would, like just a little bit of concealer and just not necessarily to put colour on his face, just to maybe cover up a little bit of acne scarring and things like that, just to enhance what he's already got and take away little bits that he doesn't like. But he doesn't go out wearing lashes every day. Why are these people not being represented? That's my moans and groans for today. What's your thoughts and feelings regarding that? Let me know. I'm also, this is a matte lipstick, right? But I've got a little secret sauce here that I can't talk about yet. Lipstick come gloss thing. And I'm just gonna dot that over the top so that it's a bit less matte and raisin-like for my slightly older lips. So yeah, that's kind of my moans. The other thing that actually we were speaking about as well is the fact that it's maybe like people want to pass judgment on the fact that you are spending a lot of money on makeup. People pass judgment on that. Or maybe the certain way you're putting makeup on. So if you're a woman in your 50s, like you can't possibly wear your makeup like this. You've got to do it this way. Things like that. Things like that have really been getting to me. I've been speaking about it a lot on the kind of community that I know on Instagram. And I would love to be able to do like a podcast on it. That's the honest truth. I looked into it today. Thought, don't know if I'm technically advanced enough for that. But let me know your thoughts. I think it's a really interesting topic and I would love to hear what other people think and feel about it. The other thing is as well, just to throw this in at the end here, as I said, I am not someone to speak up for the voice of anybody who's in a BAME group, Black, Asian, minority or ethnic groups, just in case that's what we say in the UK, in case it's called something else other places of the world. I'm not in any of these groups, so I'm not the one standing here being like this, that and the other, but I do feel we have to advocate for these groups. And I think that something as well I wondered about was how people felt about the Nomad Cosmetics kind of scandal, I would say. Because obviously the brand are a brand that pride themselves on the fact that it's nomad and it's about travelling. But clearly that launch did not go down well. It did not go down well at all. And I think for me, someone who's not in one of these groups, I just wondered what people's thoughts were. And I was, do you know what I was alarmed about was the switch from people being very much like, love this idea. In the run up to it, everything about it, everybody was like, love it, love it, love it. And the minute it released and got such bad backlash, everybody turned on them. I found that very difficult because I thought, here's a brand that probably didn't do that with any malice and had probably been very ignorant. And everybody else was being very ignorant in the run up to it because you were all saying how amazing it was going to be. And you knew, well, it was either going to be Shanghai or Bangkok or somewhere like that. So where was it that it went so wrong? That's my point. That's what I want to ask. That's my question, because I am very ignorant as well. So if anybody has any thoughts on that, I'd love to know. But that's where I'm going to leave it today, because now I'm going to go out for a walk. Stoat about as if I'm done up to go somewhere nice, you know. But I'll see you all in the next one. And I hope you're all having a lovely day. Bye.